This program contains crazy material, including offensive language. Listening discretion is advised.
What's going on, everybody? This is going to be a different take here. We're doing video. Matter of fact, I got Big Jim and Mike Tarnow here from Season 1, Episode 14 of a VO's Padded Room podcast.
Yeah!
Mike, we just put up the Instagram page, right? I put up the VO's Padded Room podcast Instagram page. And I've been uploading these interviews gradually. And I think it was June 13th, I uploaded the video with the interview with you. And everybody, you need to go check that out either on Instagram or on YouTube or on Captivate, Spotify, Stitcher, you name it. Go check it out. See episode 14. And then you reached out to me. And, I was like, hell, finally, somebody that I post the episode, somebody reaches out to me. Dave Moxley, he reached out to me. And we really appreciate that because we put a lot of hard work into this.
Yeah.
But, you threw me kind of a curveball. And why don't you go into it a little bit?
Yeah, curveballs have been us this year. My daughter-in-law's had medical issues, and I've had medical issues. It's just been, you know what? Let me take you back just a little bit.
Sure.
I've been dealing with heartburn probably off and on most of my life since I was about 16, and it's been mostly off because when I was about 33, 34, I started taking omeprazole. I had some heartburn and things I had trouble swallowing. So they did a scope and they looked at it and they said, well, you have what's called Barrett's esophagus, which is much more common. I mean, if you never heard of it, it's because you haven't had a scope. I think a lot of people have this condition, is what he had told me. So when you have chronic heartburn, you get, the acid comes up into your esophagus. And when that happens, it kind of takes that smooth texture of your esophagus that's on the inside and makes it similar to hamburger meat. So it makes food and vitamins or whatever you're taking get stuck. And sometimes it's way up there, and that's what happened to me. I couldn't breathe at one point. And it scared me enough. I'm not a big doctor guy, so I think it's just my generation. But anyway, I ended up
I'm not either. No, Mike, I'm not either. I have a hard time trusting doctors.
In the last 2 years hasn't helped that at all. Yeah.
No. I mean, I had a workers' comp case in fire department, and I felt like they just treated me like crap and just wanted me to go back to work. Didn't even listen to what I had to say. And yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. About 10 years ago, I went and they said, "Oh yeah, you have pneumonia." I said, "So do I go back to work?" And they go, "Oh no, you take 3 days off and do nothing." I'm like, I probably could have diagnosed myself on this one, but anyway. So I started taking the omeprazole after the scope, and they did a follow-up scope about 18 months later. Said, "Man, it looks fantastic. It looks like you almost never had anything going on." So I thought, cool, I'll just take a pill the rest of my life, and I'll be good to go. So I did.
Side effects to that pill?
Actually, I had nothing. Not a thing.
Good.
I've taken omeprazole my whole life, or most of it. And,
yeah. And most people don't, but I know there are some stuff, but I don't even know what those side effects would be. So anyway, about 7-8 years ago, my doctor asked me, he said, and this is where my stubbornness comes in and my not distrust, I don't know, it's kind of a strong word, maybe aversion to going to doctors. He said, "Have you done a scope lately?" I said, "I don't know, probably about 15, 18 years ago." He says, "It might be time. We'll just go in there and take a look around, make sure everything's okay." I said, "Okay." So he made me an appointment, and they called me the next day saying that you have an appointment, but you have a copay. I said, "Well, you're a specialist. I would imagine my copay, $45. Yeah." And she goes, No, you have a copay of $397.
God.
Wow.
That's a hell of a copay.
That's a deal.
I think at the time I had about $1,000 liquid that I could get to, and I thought, you know what, that's almost half of that. No, I feel fine. It's going to be okay. I canceled the appointment and just moved on with my life.
And when was this?
This was about 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
Now, I don't know whether they would have seen anything back then or not. But anyway, fast forward to late April, I had a little bit of I still get bouts of heartburn. Jim, you probably have the same thing. Every once in a while, you get something where it's like, I was in the recliner till about 3:30 in the morning. I finally went to bed because you can't lay down when that stuff's happening.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no. It's really bad. It comes out your eye.
Especially if it's the lava type.
It's terrible. And it tastes so good, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I got to bed about 3:30, and my wife came home early from work, and I had stuff I had to do. So it was about 10 o'clock. I slept in that day, and I got up, got in the shower, and as I'm in the shower, I'm noticing I'm kind of lightheaded. And I'm like, why am I lightheaded? This is weird. So I got out of the shower. It's like, if I'm going to pass out, I'm getting underwear on. So I got underwear on. Dadgummit, they're not going to find me naked.
Nope.
So I got some clothes on, and I just sat down, and my wife's got a little stool by the sink where she puts on her makeup. I'm sitting there with my head down. It's kind of like room is just spinning. Mm-hmm. So I took my blood pressure, and we've got a little cuff that we bought some years ago, and it goes around your wrist. And my blood pressure was fine. It was like 118/72. But my heart rate, just from drying off in the shower, was 143. And I'm like, I can run a mile and not hit 143. I don't, I'm almost 58 years old, and it's fine. But it's so that kind of scared me a little bit. And I just kind of said, I need to get to the bed. I need to go lay down. So I got up, and I did not make it to the door. I passed out. And I've made it all my life without passing out. And, until just now. So I was only out about 10 seconds. I got up. I finally made it to the bed. I slept until about 2:30 in the afternoon. And my wife was like, she goes, you need to go to the doctor. So
yeah, because I'm sure you don't sleep to 2:30 in the afternoon on the regular.
Never. Not since I worked midnight shift. So I got to the doctor, and he goes, yeah, sounds like you have a bleeding ulcer. It's like, okay, because there were signs. I was severely anemic. Your hemoglobin should be between 14 and 17 at any given time. My hemoglobin at that point was 7.1. So that's where the lightheadedness came from. And nope, hardly any platelets at all. If I got stabbed, it would have been over in about 2 seconds. So anyway, went to the, I can't remember the name of the doctor who does the scope. Anyway, went in there, got that whole thing done, and they came back out, and he goes, I didn't find a bleeding ulcer, but I did find a mass in your esophagus. So I'm like, okay, my wife's looking at me. Yeah. And he goes, most likely it's cancer. I see this stuff all the time. It's like, okay. So we did a biopsy. He called me back about 3 days later and said, yeah, it's cancer. So, okay. So then we had to do all these. We had a CT, a PET scan. We had, I'm trying to remember. I probably had 5 different things to kind of determine whether it had spread, how big it was. That way they kind of had a tack to take care of. Were things
running through your head too mentally? I mean,
yeah, it's got to be, because all the stuff you're talking about, with the lightheaded, I've had 2, blood transfusions or infusions, iron, all the same things. I've gotten a couple times. I got the food stuck just below where you can breathe. You still breathe, but even pills. But it's like, so yeah, it's definitely. So when you got that news, you were
you need to get scoped. Absolutely,
I do.
Yeah. I we didn't know exactly what to think. Of course, in your head, you go to the worst case scenario. And I take care of everything in the house. I take care of not everything, but I take care of all the money. I take care, because I'm retired and I've got a retirement account we pull money out of every month, and I pay all the bills. And it's just because I'm wired to be good about that. So it's not like I just dominate my wife. Don't misunderstand. But we, not always.
Get over here.
That's another show, folks.
Whole other show.
That's the padded room for you.
I will tell you though that we are coming up on 33 years, and it's to have somebody like her by my side with all this it's been a game changer. She's been fantastic. She's been with me at every treatment, every test, everything. She's awesome. But anyway, we were kind of like trying to figure out. I talked to my nephew down in Florida, and he's got about 8 acres behind his house. And we were talking about getting a pad poured back there. And if something happened to me, she could sell the house and go down there and live there. And he was all in on that. So I felt better about that. That would be a lot easier household to set up. And so, after the PET scan, they called me. What the PET scan does, this is interesting. I never heard this about a PET scan, is that they inject me with the radioactive dye or radioactive sugar. I'm sorry, it was not dye, it was sugar. And and cancer absorbs sugar. Sugar is attracted to cancer. And because the radioactivity, it all just kind of like went towards wherever the cancer was. And what the difference between stage 2 and stage 3 is that stage 2 is localized. Stage 3 is where it makes it to your lymph nodes. And stage 4 is when it metastasizes, goes everywhere it wants to go. Because once it makes your lymph nodes, it's only a matter of time before it goes everywhere else. Yeah. So when they called me, said it was stage 2, and we believe this is curable. So it kind of took the pressure off my nephew, Jim.
Right. Absolutely.
So we just been... And my wife, yes.
And yourself, shoot, that's
exactly.
That'll drive you nuts, and anxiety, and all kinds of other stuff come out of that.
Yeah, you know, my mom smoked a pack a day since she was 15 years old, and she made it to 81 years old and died peacefully on the couch. You know, I mean, it's like, so I was thinking, you know, I try to take care of myself a little bit. Maybe I'll make it past that. And then I was thinking, well, maybe not, because both of them actually had cancer before they turned 50. She had some kind
genetics.
Yeah, there's genetic. I always joke. I always said, you know, that's probably what's going to take me out. But it was always a joke. You know, of course, when it hits you in the face, it's
right.
So anyway, the oncologist said that a 3-prong approach is normally the best thing. We do chemo, radiation, and then surgery. And the surgery would actually involve replacing at least part of my esophagus with what he said colon. So I'm like, dude, you better rinse that thing out. My breath can't handle
yes.
that kind of stuff.
That's the same thing, man.
Yeah. Man, your breath is crappy. Yes, it certainly is.
So, take a whiff.
Well, believe it or not.
Smell that? That was Taco Bell.
Right.
So, yeah, so anyway, we're in the middle of that. I just had my 4th chemo treatment today, and I think it was my 16th or 17th radiation treatment. I'm going to have a total of 28 radiation treatments and 6 chemos. They're going to give me a month off to kind of recover, and then we go in for surgery. So,
between the radiation and the chemo, which one's worse?
Actually, you know, the funny thing is like there's a pattern I've noticed. I'm on week 4 now, and there's a pattern. It's like I get my chemo on Wednesdays, and I have my radiation Monday through Friday in the afternoons. So by the time Friday night, Saturday morning rolls around, I feel wiped out. My stomach doesn't like me. No, it's awful. But it's from basically Friday night until Sunday morning, I feel terrible. Other than that, I feel fine.
Okay.
And I am just so grateful. And, you know, I didn't even know how to thank God over this, but it's like, for whatever reason, he has smiled on me and made it to where it's completely tolerable. Not everybody, you know, has the same kind of reaction. I joined a couple of groups, and man, it scared me just reading some of
it off.
Oh yeah. I had to leave those groups.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when there's always a fighting chance, you just can't give up.
Exactly.
We got too much to live for. There's too many people that are around us rooting us on, whether we realize it or not.
Oh yeah.
And the woe is me mentality might put you in the grave faster too. So it's like you can't be like that.
I think so too. And this is where I kind of came back to, this is kind of where your faith, the rubber of your faith meets the road. You know, it's do I believe that God knows what he's doing? Do I believe that God knew this was going to happen? And, you know, it's like, if he knows, what am I worried about? So I think that's kind of where I'm coming from with this whole thing. And, you know, catching it early, I mean, my oncologist, my radiologist doctor, and my surgeon all said, you know, we hardly ever see stage 2 because this is a sneaky son of a gun. It's sort of like pancreatic cancer. My wife's best friend, as a matter of fact, back in October, found out she had pancreatic cancer, And because she felt fine, they were going out to eat. They were heading to Arkansas to visit their kids, their grandkids
cancer.
and stuff. 3 weeks after her diagnosis, she was gone.
One of my good mentors in the fire department, he got it. He retired. I think he was alive like 4 or 5 years after he retired, and then he got it. And that's one you can't really come back from.
Yeah. And this one, I had a bunch of people. I hadn't posted any of this on socials. I don't want any sympathy. That's not. And I think that kind of would come across like I'm asking for people to go, "Oh, you poor thing."
I mean, to be honest, too, I don't know about you, but a prayer on social media. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a nice gesture, but does it really work? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on the person saying that they're praying. I mean, if they're truly a believer, I mean, a lot of people, it's sort of like God is our default, believing in God is a default thing of being an American. I mean, everybody says, oh yeah, sure, there's a God, but I mean, you mentioned Jesus, it kind of throws everybody a little bit for a loop and, but anyway, I just didn't want to go there. I had another friend of mine that did it and it was almost kind of sad. And it's, I don't know. It's just not the way I'm wired. So, but I have told him,
you made a good decision there. I think you made a good decision. I mean, and this is a good platform to be able to talk about what's going on with you. Yeah. I mean, because there's a lot of voiceover artists out there, and that's another thing too. It's like, how does this affect your work? Because this is something that could affect your work greatly.
And that's what I talked to my doctor about. And that was one thing that I wanted to touch on, is that I overreacted. I mean, even though I didn't know, but I had reached out to a lot of my production companies that I'm on the roster for and said, look, because the last thing I wanted to do is have them send me something and my voice is jacked up because of the radiation or something. Radiation doctor said it's possible that this might rough up your vocal cords, and it has a little bit, but I'm still, at least with the imaging part, if your voice is a little rough, it doesn't affect anything. But I did reach out to my production company in New Zealand and in Chicago that send me regular work. I still work for the guy in Great Britain. Him and I have been friends for a while, so it's like I told him, I said, maybe one morning you might get an email say, I can't do this. And he goes, cool. He goes, but I want you there until you can't. But the rest of them, I really don't know them personally. So I just kind of said, you know what, put me on hold. And really, I could have done it. I mean, I really have had very little effect from any of this. So,
Do you keep a journal throughout this whole process?
I thought of that later, but I think what happened with me was, when they told me it was stage 2 and I was going to recover from it, I was thinking more about the journal if it was leading up to possibly a negative end. You know what I mean? I was thinking that would be good because people would have my last type thoughts, what was happening. But yeah, my wife asked me about that the other day. It's like, you need to make like at least a vlog that stays on your computer or whatever. That way, if you want to post it somewhere on YouTube one day, and I don't know.
You can flip the script on that too, like with the journal. Instead of just writing down how you feel right now, you can also write a journal on where you perceive yourself to be, how you envision yourself. Yeah. And even that's powerful. I have a journal not about like what I'm doing right now. I have a journal about envisioning where I'm going to be, and because, especially written word, we're very visual, right? We see these things, and they're powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, you can always start the story with the issue or the cancer at the beginning and focus on the positive outcome of it.
And I think that's an important part of the story, how all that developed. Because if that tumor was not bleeding, I would have never passed out. I would have never sought any kind of treatment. And that's why it's sneaky like pancreatic, is because normally whenever somebody goes because they can't swallow anymore or whatever, they go and it's like, well, it's stage 4, and coming back from stage 4 is a whole lot tougher than coming back from stage 2. So, I mean, and that's kind of the message with all this. It's like, look, even if you feel fine, and you're taking your omeprazole, or you're taking Prevacid, or even over-the-counter stuff. Omeprazole is over-the-counter also. If you're taking that every day because you really need it, even though you don't have any symptoms, go talk to your doctor about getting a scope. Pay the $397. So, I mean,
we sometimes worry about things like that. I had a coach, like a motivational coach, tell me, if you have the money to pay for it, it is a blessing that we have the money, because it's necessary, right? It's necessary stuff we got to get done.
Yeah, and you don't feel the scope. I've been scoped several times. I had, bleeding ulcers where they had to go down, scoped and cauterized at one point, a few years back. But, nothing, it's not painful. You don't remember 90% of it, or you don't remember it at all. So don't, if that's scaring somebody, then don't let it, huh?
You got to get it both ways. I mean, really, we got to get it both ways.
And you don't remember either one of them. So
you hit your 40s. I mean, I feel like I told my wife, I said, when I hit my 40s, I feel like I'm dodging bullets now. This is the dodging bullet time. I breathed in so much shit as a firefighter. I worry about that stuff. These dumpster fires I was on, or car fires and stuff like that.
And who knows what's in that dumpster? Yeah.
No, yeah. There's a lot of, it could have been a dead body for all I knew.
Yeah, and over in theater over in Iraq, we're burning shit piles.
Right.
Couldn't be the healthiest.
No. There's no way there's any microbes in there at all. Yeah.
And just life flies by. It does. I thought, like, in my 20s, I'd never be 50 or 40 or whatever. I never thought I'd get to that point. And now
I remember people in their 30s thinking they were old.
I used to think. I told my mother-in-law the other day, when I was 24 years old, I thought I was old.
Yeah,
so stupid.
Yeah, that's right. We would joke about it when we were teens, and man, I don't know, or 20s. I'm not going to make it that old. I don't care. And now we get here, it's like, wait a minute, dude, wait.
It's funny how you think you're like, when I was in a band in my 20s, or I was ring announcing, I was like, well, I have this many years before I'm 30. And then if I don't make it, and then when I hit my 40s, I'm like, I don't think about time as much. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I don't care about old, young. I just was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I got to keep doing it and see it through.
Let me make it tomorrow.
That's just big picture thinking. I think most of us guys are wired that way. We kind of zoom out and go, all right, this is where I was, this is where I am now, which was an improvement, and this is where I want to be. And you can kind of look at your life, past, present, and future. And that's kind of what I did when I first started working at Anheuser-Busch. I started November 14th, 1994. And I had written because they had told us how the retirement process worked. You had to be 55 and have at least 10 years in order for you to have health benefits and all this kind of stuff. So I was 30 years old then. I thought, well, when I turn 55, I can retire. That would be July 11th, 2000. What was it? 2000. Gosh, I forgot what date that would be. Anyway, I had 2019. And I thought, you know what? That's my goal. That was my zoomed out picture right there. And that was what kept me motivated. And those years kind of flew by for me, which even though they didn't seem like they did at the time, but looking back on it, those years kind of did fly by. But yeah, I mean, zooming out and really looking at, your health, taking care of yourself now. I know people that, man, one of my best friends, and I actually talked about this in my podcast, because I explained all this in a little bit more detail. Huh? Oh, I'll plug it. Yeah, it's AM Coffee, and it's just a podcast. I interview a lot of people that do interesting things and study interesting things, wrote interesting books, and are health gurus. Actually, that's kind of the kick I've been on. I did take a little bit of a break over the holidays, and it kind of turned into an extended break.
Understandable. We did the same.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to get lazy.
So when you're doing, people don't realize all the production that goes into these shows for us. It's like there's a lot of work.
There is work.
If we want to make it fun, we want to make sure that we're both having fun. We're not strangling each other across the computer and everything. Because I love Big Jim. Big Jim has helped me. He's taught me a lot as far as being a better voiceover artist and audio engineer. So I don't want to be mad at him.
No, I don't need.
Sometimes-
Thanks, brother.
Sometimes you just have to be, you know.
I've learned a lot about hosting some of this. You know, before you can tell from the season 1, episode 1, it's like, yeah, mm-hmm. You know, it's like, fuck it, you know, let's do it.
Let's do it. Exactly. I've learned a lot too with interviewing people. I never really interviewed anybody, but you listen, and sort of like anything in life, you watch people do it wrong. And to me, I learned so much more from watching people do it wrong, saying that's something I'll never do because that sucks.
Yeah.
And so then you kind of figure out your own niche, and you figure out, because like I've listened to people talk over either their co-host or the person they're interviewing, and it's like, man, people on TV do it. I can't stand that.
You fine tune those things too. Like, I'll point to Jim or something like that, or he'll point to me, and we kind of get into a flow where it's much more smooth. But since we're such good friends, it always was kind of natural.
Yeah, or I'll edit it out.
Yeah, or he'll edit it out. That's what's great about not doing video podcasts. It's like we can add all the bells and whistles, and we can make it sound perfecto.
My son asked me about putting stuff on YouTube with podcasts. It's like, I'm not a video editor. I don't know. I actually downloaded something to try it. But it's like, it just seems like a daunting task, And I've been too cheap to, of course, I have learned a lot about insurance this year, which is good to know. There's a big difference between your deductible and your out-of-pocket maximum. So if you want to know what the difference is there, that's I can let you know. But my deductible is only $2,000. My out-of-pocket maximum is $5,500.
Oh wow!
So it's been a wonderful treat to see my savings account get dwindled down to almost nothing. So, it is what it is. So, but
at least you had it to begin with.
That's the blessing right there. I actually had it. We got a good return on our taxes, and we put it aside. I was going to get some trees taken out and have a little bit of a concrete slab poured, and that's going to be next year. So, stuff happens.
Yeah. So, hey, Mike, it's a pleasure talking to you always. And
you guys are great. I love you guys.
Thanks, man. I love you too, man.
Thank you, bro.
And,
absolutely.
We're going to be thinking about you constantly. If you ever want to do any video updates, we'll post them on our YouTube page. That's fine with us,
Okay.
Or our Instagram page now that we have one. And if you ever want to come back on the show and act stupid.
Oh, for sure. And if, like Brad always says, time goes quick. And I'm going to jump in and say, if you, in true Vio's padded, or what is shit, really? In true padded room fashion here, if you want to plug any of your social media as well,
okay,
have at it.
It's I think on Instagram it's just Mike Tarnow VO, and I don't post a lot of VO stuff. I post a lot of just things that I find funny normally.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we as Americans, especially with the dumpster fire we have going on politically in this country, especially the last 5 years or so. I mean, it's like, let's laugh. We just need to laugh.
Right.
So
right. Everybody's so hateful and negative.
I know. If you don't agree with somebody, then all of a sudden, then they're the enemy.
And it's everything, like PlayStation, Xbox, football, baseball. It's like, can we just agree to disagree? I mean, it's okay to not think on the same wavelength all the time.
Exactly.
Apparently not.
WWE, AEW. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah.
Right.
Our friend Charlie Toro had just posted something the other day about the Twitterverse.
Yeah,
how hateful people are on there. It's like, and
they're hateful. I love Twitter though.
I got off. I stopped my shit.
I love Twitter. I connected with a lot of young voice talent on Twitter. They're all there. And I try to pick their brains because those are the people that are making the video games. Those are the people that are doing all the dubbing and animation stuff. So it's good for that. If you can weed out that, I like to check out TMZ news every now and then and, check out what's trending. Like if I was watching the Celtics and the Golden State Warriors on Twitter, and I was following the Celtics a lot, seeing the comments and stuff. But, you just can't let that stuff get to you. I don't comment on any of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where the trouble starts. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't comment because you're never gonna be right. Somebody's always gonna have a comeback, and some people might throw you under the rug. It's how do you take it? How do you take it? That's the big question.
And it's normally just ridiculous comments too. I mean, it's sort of like they've been living under a rock for the last 10 years, and they have no idea they don't know anything. And a lot of them is younger people, nothing against younger people, but a lot of people, for some reason, they come out of college and they think they know everything. And it's, God bless you, but you just don't know jack.
Yeah. Well, I thought I knew a lot too when I came out of college. I thought I was the shit. I thought I was like the best thing since sliced bread, and I had to get knocked down a couple notches, and that's okay. It made me who I am today. I would not want to go back to being 20 again. But
oh gosh, no.
You see so many people on young people on Twitter going, I think I'm quitting voiceover, and I'm just like, nobody cares. And
now we've all said that to ourselves in our head, I would imagine. I know I did.
Oh yeah. But they're just looking for sympathy, and what you got to do is you got to put your big boy or girl pants on, and you got to. This is a marathon game, and if you're in your 20s doing it, good for you. Stay with it.
Yeah.
Because it sucks starting in your 40s doing it. Yep. I mean, I wish I was much younger doing this. But, I mean, the challenges are great. But I try to tell these young people, like, hey, don't give up.
I was 48 when I started. So I'm with you.
Yeah, see? It's a challenge, but I love it. I love doing this.
I can't imagine not doing it.
Absolutely.
Right. I get to meet cool people like Jim and you, and I've met a lot of great people. That beats anything to me as far as
I was looking at a lot of your guests earlier, and it's like, man, you've interviewed some very interesting people. JDK is one of my favorite people out there.
Oh yeah,
JD. He's a great guy.
Yeah, Janet Peters. We interviewed JD. We've interviewed Rob Herrera.
Yeah.
D. Alvis is a nice guy. He's a great guy.
Rihanna.
People don't realize is every one of these people that we've interviewed all had hurdles to overcome. It just wasn't like, they were just like, look at me, I'm here. And then you got all the voiceover work you ever wanted.
Yeah.
These people had to push the pedal to the metal. And if you're not willing to do that, just keep doing what you're doing. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think a lot of what you interview people that are just real. You see a lot of these people that are convinced they're an influencer, and they kind of come at it from that standpoint and say, you need to look at me. I'm very successful. Just because I told you I'm successful doesn't necessarily mean it's true. But you know what I mean? And I'm a coach, and I can, just give me $5,000 and we can work for 3 weeks. We'll get you a demo.
Oh, yeah. The people that are like, well, if you're not charging this, or if you're going to, dude, it's my life. I can do what I want, and if it affects your life, that's your problem. I don't know what to tell you.
That's a big one right there. And even Corey Disson has come out and said, tell people to, kiss your butt. Because once you start paying my bills, then you can tell me how I can earn my money.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, hey man, we wish you the best. And
thank you. Thank you.
I'll be thinking about you constantly. I'll reach out to you, see how you're doing. And hopefully, we'll get this posted here by the end of the weekend. And we'll see how this outpatient therapy stuff goes. If anybody out there wants to be on outpatient therapy, we'll just have a lighthearted conversation about any struggles or anything you're going through. At the moment, reach out to us here on our YouTube channel, or you can reach out to us on Instagram or VO Padded Room Podcast at gmail.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jim?
Yeah, that's it. Hello? I had to think about it. Yep.
Hello? Is that right? Hello? And anybody has any questions about the what I'm going through, if you think you might have some kind of question that I can answer, I'm not saying I can, reach out to me, MikeTarnowVO at gmail.com, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you. But, get that scope done. And that's kind of my big message. Catch this stuff early.
For sure.
Jim,
for sure.
What do you got to say?
Nothing. Kind of.
When life gets you down, maybe.
Yeah, oh, you want me to? Yeah, we'll end it in true fashion here. When the days really, when the days get long and shit gets real, you gotta
punch every day in the face. Yeah.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show.